I'd like to address this afternoon Thomas Holloway and patent medicine in the Victorian times, kill or cure. Holloway sold patent proprietary medicine and his name became a global brand, but was he a cunning quack as they were seen as? Well, to set the picture we must look at the background, and during the Victorian period people self-medicated. Really, illness was being managed rather than cured. It's not really till the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, that people really understood and began to understand the causes of ill health and how to manage and treat it. So we will see that palliative medicine was very important, but really identifying causes of illness was impossible. So comfort and reassurance was so important. Also, the principal therapy was to create balance in the body. So bloodletting, purges, laxatives and so on were very, very popular. So you're getting rid of the impurities. Pain could be eased, but again, this was incredibly dangerous. Opium, alcohol, laudanum, all of these things were being used. So really, people could be left totally debilitated or really totally addicted. Victorian families were also very easy targets for advertisements, which were very new at this time actually. And with the cheap press, we will see the market was flooded with these advertisements of pills or ointments that could be bought cheaply. And the poor were most vulnerable for this because doctors were expensive, so self-diagnosis and the treatment with proprietary medicine was very popular. Now, what is proprietary medicine? Well, it is medicine that is registered by a trademark, so you're protecting the formula. And in fact, there was no control over what was being sold. And in fact, it meant that people could self-medicate and they could avoid the expensive cost of a doctor. And it was incredibly popular. You've only got to look at the rise in the sales of proprietary medicine and the number of medical vendors that were selling it. That increased hugely as well. So the people that sold these nostrums were much more businessmen than doctors, and it was really based on sales technique. And of course, many of these medicines were extremely dangerous. At a time with rapid urbanization, with the increase in dirt, disease, noxious noises, industries, poor health, especially of the poor, you can understand why so many people turned to this. There were so many problems, very poor sanitation and so on. It's not to the end of the 19th century that we will see great improvements. Now, the person I want to talk about is Holloway. And this is his ointment and his pills. This is what his fortune is really based on. He was born in Devonport. We know he had served a small apprenticeship to a druggist, and he made some ointment in his mother's saucepan. He went to France, he came back, and he was involved in patent medicine in London. He then opened his own shop in the Strand, and his family moved in with him, and they produced ointment from 1837 and pills from 1839. He worked extremely hard. All his life he was incredibly hard worker. There's an advert we get for the Strand. Now, the ointment he produced really didn't kill you. It's very much based on lanolin. And in fact, we will see, though, what was it advertised to cure? And you can see it's advertised from bad legs to tumours and ulcers. I mean, it's all inclusive as such. And the pills that were made from 1839, well, they very much were to purge you. They were laxatives. And again, they wouldn't kill you, but they are laxatives, strong laxatives. Now, he built up his sales very, very successfully. And he met his wife, Jane's driver, in the docks, we think, and they married, and she becomes totally involved in the business in the Strand. And before they married, he invited her to Drury Lane. But look at this quote. It's quite interesting, actually. Holloway's umbrella will be as useful to him tonight as a pot of ointment to a bad leg. So does this show his commercial realism? And his medicine was useless. Well, I'll leave that with a question mark. His advertisements are huge. Lots in newspapers. We will see also he published statements from medical figures testifying to the importance and the success of his ointment and pills. There's another one there. He also produced an almanac giving advice on health and so on, and it's quite interesting actually. He produced this once a year, and for every month of the year he'd have a reason why you should use his pills and ointment. And I just give you November. Well, it's the fogs, it's breathing problems and so on. So take the pills, use the ointment, and it will help you. I think maybe inhaling the steam and a good diet would help you even more. But anyway, but we see this for every month. It's quite fascinating actually how he changed the advertisement. He also produced medical guides using the name Professor and really trying to clarify how his medicines would work, wanting purity of the blood and so on. So there again, it's all encasing actually. This one I find more uncomfortable. This is about children that so many children died at this time, and telling mothers to be wise, to give them small doses of his pills and ointment, but saying it's saved thousands and they've been preserved to their parents. So this is his budget, and by the end of his life it's over £1,000 a week. Now, he was seen by many as a cunning quack. Punch magazine was very critical of quacks, and they called him the mighty healer, the pillar of society. And if good science could not bring him down, perhaps mockery would, as they said. Well, he was more successful. He didn't stay in the Strand. They moved to Oxford Street. They took over a 5-story building. So this just shows you how successful he was. And the last 10 years of his life was devoted very much to giving away this wealth. And he wanted to leave it in philanthropy, but in bricks and mortar. And he took advice from the Earl of Shaftesbury, who said that he felt that mental illness of the middle and professional classes was not being dealt with very well. So Holloway committed to build a sanatorium, and this is what he built. He researched it incredibly well with his brother-in-law. They went across Europe and America. He wanted to build an aspirational building, and it's very much based on the Cloth Hall in Ypres. And he was totally involved. He even built his own brickworks. There it is there. It opened in Virginia Water in 1885. Every care and attention was taken. Even inside, if we look at the decoration, it was incredible. Well, it was a refuge. It was a peaceful place. There was to be therapy. There was to be daily routine, exercise and so on. Very, very well set up indeed. And he didn't wish patients to stay beyond a year. He didn't see it for the incurable. There we have it there. It closed in 1981, and it was part of the Health Authority then. It was taken over by the National Health actually in 1947, but it was in a very, very bad state. But it was rescued by Octagon the builders, and now it's private housing, and it has been restored magnificently. His second legacy was a university college for women, and this is in Egham. And he wanted to give, with his wife, the best education suitable for women. And it was opened in 1886. And in fact, the belief was that really women should be barred from higher education because of their mental delicacy. This is something that he didn't agree with. And in fact, it wasn't the first. Of course, the first was Hitchin College, but he had followed the example of Matthew Vassar in America, and had done a lot of research. And there it is, a fabulous building in Egham. It was based on a French chateau. He and Crossland, the architect, had visited many chateaux, and it was incredibly detailedly built, the design and the construction total. And there's Thomas and Jane Holloway. That's their statues in the college, in the quad. And in fact, Jane died in 1875, and the college was very much memorial to her. And even more than that, he decided to create a picture gallery for the college, similar to the one in Vassar. And in fact, he acquired 77 paintings that he liked. And I'll just show you some of them. And they're very famous paintings indeed that are still in the college today. And so when he died, he was buried in Sunning Hill with his wife. He died in December 1883, before the college and before the sanatorium were open. But what we will see is that this fortune he'd accumulated from a lifetime's work, now he used it, and maybe his legacy is not to be entangled really so much with the business of patent medicine, but he is remembered for his dedication to philanthropy. And maybe this is why we don't have the headline, "The Death of the Wicked Wealthy Quack," that he, as the Times said, he was gracious and free-handed of their money, as he has.